Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. As you can see, there has been some changes to the garden and I definitely want to show you all of this. I figured I should just go ahead and give y'all a big October update of the garden because there has been quite a few changes, obviously with expansion, and then just the productivity of the garden itself has completely changed since I think the last time I showed y'all all around it. So I just want to take y'all through here real quick and show you exactly what I've been up to. Alright, so you can see behind me here I have got this massive garden bed just going all the way up the hill, and then over behind the trellis is another pretty good size big square garden bed, and they are my next business venture. You know, we've got the homestead here, we've got the farm. If you follow along, you know we've got like the goats and the chickens, turkeys, pigs, all that stuff, really livestock animals. But I also do garden, really got big into that this year. But the animals and stuff, like, they're our family business, but obviously they're more Garrett. Like, now I am starting to get a little bit more hands-on with the farm. Like, I'm really taking care of it while Garrett's in a really busy season of work. I'm doing most of the work on the farm, so the animals really are our thing, but they are really more his thing. Where the garden, this is my baby. This is what I've envisioned. I'm doing all of this. I have had help from family, obviously. Garrett still plays a big role in it like I do with the animals, but this is my little child here. So my big plan is to have my own cut flower garden for the 2025 season, and this is just getting a big start on it. I started to film a little bit about what I was doing. I was gonna take y'all along in the whole creation of these garden beds for the cut flowers, but honestly it was a really busy, hectic time for us. The weather was bad. It took me so many days and so many hours just poured into creating these two beds, so I didn't get all of that filmed, but I do want to show y'all because, like I said, this is my big plan. This is the biggest part of the garden, and this is going to be a lot that y'all will see coming in the future for YouTube. So I'm just going to quickly take y'all around here and kind of show you what I've been working on with these garden beds. So taking y'all up and along this first garden bed here, I have got, I think it's a 38 by 8 foot garden bed. So the actual rows are about 38 feet long by 3 feet wide. I've got a little walkway in the middle, and then another 3 foot by 38 foot garden section there. And then coming over here, I've got this big square. It's 16 by 16 feet, so a nice big square there. So obviously I'm not an expert. Like I said, this is really my first time going all out for this. Last year I did grow flowers for the first time. Went really well. This year I grew flowers again, just in one of my raised boxes, and again went really good, and I just really fell in love with the idea of growing flowers and making bouquets. It's something that I just really enjoy doing, so that's why I'm giving this a try. But like I said, definitely not an expert, but I did start my own seeds this fall and plant them out into the garden bed. So what I planted are called cool flowers. There's so many other videos here on YouTube if you really want to know what cool flowers are, that it can explain it a lot better than I can. But for my understanding, you plant these flowers in the fall that will kind of establish their roots, really create like a good flower root system for the plant, go dormant over winter, and then bloom early spring. Some benefits of growing flowers from the fall are earlier blooms. So even though you plant spring flowers, you know, or like end of winter, early spring, these that are planted in the fall should bloom earlier than the ones planted in the spring. Also, they're supposed to have stronger roots, better stems, produce more flowers. So that's what I'm giving a shot. Did a lot of research about like hardiness zones, what flowers are going to be hardy enough to survive the winter in my area, And so that's kind of what I did. Lots of research and then just giving it a good practice. I did have, so like I said, started my own seeds, grew them for about 6 to 8 weeks inside, and then transplanted them out. And I'll kind of show y'all what I did here. So like I said, I am learning. As you can see, these holes up here are almost non-existent with plants. There's a little plant there, and then we've got some that are really tiny on that side, but as you can see, most of them are gone. We had some pretty bad weather for a few days, which honestly I don't think affected them that much, but we did have one of our livestock guardian dogs out and she ripped up most of the plants. So a pretty good portion all throughout here and on this side are gone, with the exception of a few of them. Now right here where I've got my feverfew planted out, most of these are still in really good condition. You can see just a few of them like right here that either got ripped out or they're just died off, but they're doing really well. Got some more up here that you can kind of see are doing pretty decent. And then up at the top on both sides, I've got some snapdragons. Most of those survived. And then I've got some more flowers up here that are doing pretty good. Didn't plant anything on this side or in these two middle ones. That's why they look kind of crazy. I didn't really care to fix them after the weather. And then over on this side are sweet peas that will need a trellis system pretty soon. So like I said, I did a bunch of research about like hardiness zones, what will survive during the winter. Now if we get a bunch of like below freezing temps, I will have some frost fabric to put over the flowers just to kind of help protect them against the frost. But as far as like the netting and everything I'll use to support the flowers, I probably won't do that until I'm getting ready in the spring, just because like I said, they're gonna grow some and then go dormant and then not grow again until the spring. So I don't really care to like do the trellis system for the sweet peas and all that just yet, because they're not gonna get to that point that they'll really need that support. I do have a lot more space, like you saw in this big square garden, for more spring flowers come this spring. And then obviously all the spots that the plants got ripped out, I will just put more plugs there. Like I said, really the only difference in planting them in the spring and in the fall is just earlier blooms, maybe healthier plants, but they'll still do great. And so all the ones that I'm missing, I'll just try again come spring. So like I said, everything is just a trial now, and then just a way for me to. So like I said, everything right now is just learning, a trial. Who knows if any of these plants will actually survive the winter? They should, but if they don't, like, it's really not that big of a deal. I'm just learning, and I know I'll have all spring and summer to grow flowers, so it's gonna work out pretty good. But that is the biggest expansion with that. And I will kind of take y'all around real quick and show you the garden. So if you have been following along with this garden, you know my struggles with getting anything to produce. Like my pepper plants, I had planted them in April. They were really strong starts I got from a nursery. They just never grew for like months. They were just absolutely stunted, would not grow. Tomato plants weren't really producing, flowers really weren't producing. Had a decent green bean harvest, could have been better. But then like my loofahs, nothing, like they weren't taking off at all. Well, check this out. I have got quite a few loofahs. So like this one is by far my largest. I've got a few more that are starting to kind of pop up. Let's see. But like, here's my hand in comparison to, okay, well that's not good. Here, let me try it this way. Here's my hand in comparison to this loofah. It is ginormous. So I'm gonna have some pretty good loofah sponges come this fall. I'm really excited about that because honestly, I thought it was a lost cause at this point. Another exciting thing is my pepper plants are growing. Also, I should mention this real quick. I did in some videos past test my soil, realized that was the issue for the failure of my garden. It was so depleted in every kind of nutrient available, or that it should have. And so I did amend the soil and amended it quite a few times, and that was the issue because my garden finally started producing. But let me show you these peppers. So I've got a few bell peppers coming in here. Still no snacking peppers that I've seen. And then back here you can see some jalapenos getting started. I actually took in a really large harvest of jalapenos. So these have been producing like crazy. Lots of jalapenos inside, but did just start getting these bell peppers. Like I said, my loofah plant really took off and started producing. I've got carrots all throughout this bed that are looking pretty good with the tops, but I know that they're not quite big enough. You can kind of dig away some of the dirt, and I can tell that that one just is not ready yet. So we're gonna leave those in the ground. Lemon balm all throughout here, and then some more lemon balm over here. That's just kind of started to flower. I do need to harvest that here soon. Got quite a few flowers still in this garden bed, and a little butterfly visitor. So I am gonna cut some of these flowers for a bouquet probably this weekend. But you can see, like, I've got a lot of little blooms that haven't even opened yet, and being October, I think that's still doing really well. Not much happening in this bed. Few little strawberry plants. They probably aren't going to put off anything the rest of the year. All my pumpkins died away. Didn't get any pumpkins out of that. We just have a little weed there. I was going to plant more lettuce and stuff. I never did. So that bed's pretty much empty. Over here, we've got a lot of carrots. These are all carrot tops, but again, just not quite big enough yet for a harvest. And honestly, this bed over here, the soil is so compact and clay-like. I don't know if they're even growing underneath there, but if they do, that's great. Got some tomato plants here. I haven't really gotten any good tomatoes out of this whole bed. This one was planted after the squash bugs attacked my squash and zucchini. They do put on some fruit, but then they just die pretty much right away. I think it's been way too hot for them, and I just haven't come out here and plucked off the dead fruit. But they still have blooms, and they're still producing. So I'm hoping as the weather is starting to cool down here, they'll kind of start growing. I know this tomato bed is doing good. Like I said, we've still got tomatoes that are growing on here. Let's see, I've got some more of these San Morzanos down here. Again, hopefully with the cooler weather. Oh, there's some big ones right there. Hopefully with the cooler weather, they'll do good. And then the last thing over in this bed are some marigolds. And those have a ton of blooms on them. And as you can see, a ton of blooms that haven't even opened up yet. So just a little quick look around the garden. And we've got that bed and this big long bed here. So obviously I'm not a master gardener. This is my first year to really go all out with the garden. And I did learn quite a few things this year. So my biggest tip or piece of advice I would give a beginner gardener is test your soil, amend your soil. I had new soil this year that was supposed to be perfect for gardening. I got brand new compost that should have been really great for gardening. So in my mind, everything was perfect. I didn't need to test it for a few years once I started noticing some depletion. But obviously that wasn't the case, because once I tested my soil and I saw how bad the soil health was and I actually took action for it, that's when my garden started producing. So you can do everything right, but if your soil health is not there, your garden is just not gonna do very good. And that was the case here. Is I really tried hard. There's just nothing I could have done until I tested the soil and took care of that. So definitely take care of your soil, figure that out. Also, just for me, I had pretty low expectations going into this year. I think some of my expectations were exceeded and some of them were quite on par. Next year, I would love to obviously keep growing my garden, really work on the vegetables, grow a lot more tomatoes. I didn't can any tomatoes this year. I didn't have that many. Actually, scratch that. I've got tomatoes in my freezer, just a gallon bag that I'm gonna try to can, but I didn't get the canning whole experience that I really wanted this year. So I'm gonna try again with that next year. Obviously, like I said, the cut flowers is a new startup business for me, so that's gonna be a lot of my time getting invested in that. But yeah, I'm really excited with how this season has gone for the garden. Could have been better, but for my really second year gardening, it's gone pretty good. So I'm just gonna keep working at it, keep listening to y'all's advice online. I know a few of y'all that watch my videos have been giving some really fantastic advice online, and I really do pay attention to that and have been trying out some of those methods. And so yeah, this is really it. Thank you guys for watching this update on the garden. I know we are definitely going to have some work to do come a little bit later this fall, just getting everything cleaned up. But I will keep y'all along with that. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.